Hey everybody, it's me, Angela Herrera, the Senior Minister at First Unitarian Church. It looks like during this pandemic we're going to be away from our sanctuary for a while, and instead of being together in front of our beautiful mural with our candle corner and all the things that make that such a sacred, special space, we're going to be joining together from our homes on Zoom. And so I thought it might be nice to talk about how to make an altar for your home. This is my home. Come on in. Building altars is one of the most ancient practices of humankind, and it's something that spans many different cultures and religious traditions. Buddhists, Hindus, Catholics, Protestants, pagans all build altars, not to mention the many spiritual traditions that defy our categories. You can build an altar just about anywhere. It could be in an office, a kitchen, a bedroom, even outdoors. Sometimes they seem to make themselves. When I brought our special chalice home from the church sanctuary temporarily to hold it here for Zoom worship, I realized it was too fancy to just set on a table or a shelf, and it quickly turned this little area next to my fireplace into an altar. But how do you make one from things that you have already around you, maybe in your home? That's what I want to show you. I decided to build a little altar here in the entryway to my home so that it can remind me of my spiritual practice in my comings and my goings throughout the day. So I'm starting with just this little simple table. It's nothing fancy, just a little folding table that I picked up at a yard sale probably. I love yard sales. And I'm going to put something on top of it to be sort of like the base for the altar. This is some lace tatting that my mother-in-law made, and whenever I see it, it reminds me of her generosity and creativity, two wonderful values to put at the base of an altar. I like to have something alive, and so I picked out this little plant, and I didn't know it when I picked it, but this is heather, and it turns out heather is a really resilient plant. It can withstand wildfires in its native habitat, and is often one of the first things to grow back in big, thriving foliage after a fire. So in these times when it seems like some danger is around us with this pandemic, I think having some beautiful, resilient heather on my altar feels really nice. For this altar, I also picked out a bowl of healing herbs. I have in here some dried chamomile and some nettles, and this bowl is a gift a friend gave me a long time ago that has a little circle of, looks to me like Venus figures dancing, and I love that. So I put that there, and the herbs remind me of healing energies and inherited wisdom. Many people like to put images of ancestors on their altars, and I love this one. This is a picture of my maternal grandmother. She was a really hardworking person. She reminds me to roll up my sleeves and not be fussy. I also have this little teacup and saucer that belonged to her mother. So that's my maternal great-grandmother, Hazel. You know, when I remember her, I just think of her strength. I'm really proud of my maternal lineage. They're really special to me. And, you know, for you, ancestors can be your actual relatives from your family lineage, or they can also be spiritual ancestors, people who inspire you from the past, or, you know, teachers from your life, or symbols of those kinds of people. I want to say also that inside this teacup, I've poured some salt. My great-grandmother was a salt of the earth kind of person. Salt can be a symbol of purity or of the earth, and so I've got that there as well. Also on my altar, I'm putting a little dish of water. Now, we don't really make holy water in the Unitarian Universalist tradition because we say that it's already holy. And, you know, looking at this water, I think about the way it has circled the globe for millions of years, that it was basically what the first living beings were created in. It's ancient, it is a fundamental element of life, and so it is already holy, and it's meaningful to have it on your altar. So what do we have now? We have some life, we have ancestors represented, we have healing and inherited wisdom, and we have symbols of the earth and of water. Now we need fire and air if we want to have the 4 elements on this altar, which I like to do. So for fire, of course, I have this chalice. It's made up of broken pieces that have been upcycled into something beautiful. I love that. One thing I want to say about chalices is they can be really simple. A chalice is a symbol, and you can make one out of the things that you have around if you don't have something that's like this, that really looks like a formal chalice. A chalice can be made out of a little dish like this, or a teacup, or a dish like that. You just put a little tea light in it, and there you go. So I encourage you to get creative and consider making a little chalice for yourself. Next we have incense, which is a pretty traditional element of an altar, and it represents air because it scents the air. Once you have your altar arranged just the way you like it, with the objects that are important to you, it becomes something that reminds you of the things you want to be reminded of. It has symbols of your faith. It can be a way of setting intentions for yourself and staying connected with ancestors, seasons, with wisdom, and with the place in which you live. An altar is an affirmation that your home, or wherever you put your altar, is a sacred space. These times can feel so stressful and uncertain. It's important to take care of your spiritual life in whatever ways are meaningful to you, and remember to breathe and spend time in gratitude for the ones you love.